Good morning, everybody. Welcome to my ArtzyDude channel. It's ArtzyDude again, in the art studio, somewhere here in the great United States of America. Yes, it's the place where creativity is way more important than knowledge, but the acquisition of great knowledge. It's an art form, and the two go hand in hand. Yeah. What's going on out there, my brothers and sisters? Everything all right? It's a beautiful day somewhere here in the art studio in America. Going to ramble a little bit today. It's funny. I was listening to the recent Grant Cameron show, and he was talking about all of these different phenomena. He's been studying it for 40 years. He said there's so many different phenomena out there, and that he thinks, he's got a theory for it, that all of these aliens, these creatures, these things that we're seeing are here for the wow factor. Isn't that crazy? The wow factor. What's he call it? He calls it TTOW, the theory of wow. Wow. Kind of cool. That's his theory. He thinks, or he's been postulating this theory for nearly 40 years, that all of these things that we see and have been seen, all of this phenomena that's intertwined, is here because they're trying to raise our consciousness. Some entity, some being, something is trying to raise our consciousness. Now, I understand that. He said that, back in the 1800s, that crafts were seen that were like wooden crafts with blimps kind of like in the air with propellers flying around. And of course, in the 1950s, we see things that look like old-fashioned desk lights with light bulbs underneath them flying around. And of course, nowadays, the craft that we see in terms of nuts and bolts imagery, very sophisticated triangle crafts, very sophisticated circular crafts, light orbs, things of that sort, super high tech. Back in the 15, 16, 1700s, according to documentation, the crafts were more organic in nature, I guess, more of that time period. You've seen some of them in the backgrounds of paintings. Now, I know a lot of those ones that are on the internet are probably fake, as many things are on the internet. But still, maybe there is a case to be made for these phenomena being here, and they're here for our enlightenment. My thoughts are, though, why? I mean, it seems like there would be better ways to raise the consciousness of humans. Again, to Grant's point, Grant Cameron, he said, why don't they just land on the White House lawn? But I think he's just being in general terms, but if you land on the White House lawn, that's immediately you think of regionalism, nationalism. They land in American soil first. Well, what if they land in New Guinea first? Or the Amazon basin? Then what? My point's always been, if we would start having more interaction, and I think that's Grant's point too, is if we can start to see more interaction, we start to get used to the phenomena more, and people are like, so what? Got to go to work every day. Got to get up and pay the bills. So a craft landed down the street at the park. Big deal. I mean, you can think about things throughout history that have gained our attention. And it was a crazy thing. I remember growing up seeing a blimp, seeing the Goodyear blimp flying over our house. It was like, oh my God. And, I grew up in a mid-size town, a couple of 100,000 people, 250,000 people, mid-size town, smaller to mid-size, okay? But when the Goodyear blimp flew over our house as a kid, I thought, holy cow, man, this is awesome. Look at that thing. And we would run outside as kids, and people would take pictures, and it was crazy, right? Well, what do you do when you see a blimp now? You do a double take for a second. You go, what is that? Oh, it's a blimp. Could be the Shamu blimp, which is now retired. The Goodyear blimp. What was the one with Snoopy on it? Meta. Oh, I can't think of it with Snoopy. The insurance company. It's drawing a blank. Doesn't matter. The blimp with Snoopy on. Or you'll see blimps at NFL games. Flying around. All kinds of events now. You don't even pay any attention to them anymore. In fact, you'll hear the noise, the propellers, and you go, oh, that's a blimp. I don't even have to look up. It's just the way it is. Now, unless you live in a small Midwestern town or the Amazon basin, you're not going to be too surprised about it. And I think the same thing would hold true with more frequent visits by our alien hosts, our alien friends, our alien neighbors, our galactic neighbors. I mean, if they came around more often, it would be commonplace. If they showed up more often in the skies. In fact, even if they didn't make contact, if they just showed up more in the skies, if they flew around more, you saw more different craft, people would be like, okay, there's another craft in the sky, no big deal. Got to go to work, got to pay the bills, got to pick up the groceries, got to go get the kids, whatever it is that you're doing. Got to go to college, get some new tires, whatever. I'd love to sit down at some point with Grant Cameron or Alien Protocols, C.W. Chanter, or Ryan from Post Disclosure World, even Joe from the Carolinas, my buddy over there. Love to sit down, chat with them once in a while. Not necessarily an interview, but just have a philosophical discussion about this. Serious philosophical discussion, about why these things are here, where they're coming from, what's the next steps. To the Stars Academy, we know they're working on things and they want to roll out some high-tech engineering, craft, and they may well do that. They may well bring that to fruition. But will they bring it to fruition for the good of the people? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of like when the light bulb was invented by Thomas Edison. He did it for profit. He was in business. I get that. But think about how that changed everything for mankind. Light, automatically, at your fingertip. No more lighting kerosene lamps or gas lamps, as it were. Safer, more efficient. Think about the technology that we see or have seen in the skies, how it could change us, how it could change our world. Kind of crazy when you think about it. Now, for me, I've never seen a craft up close or a phenomena really at all. I've seen some crazy things in the skies, but I can write them off as comets, shooting stars, satellites, second stage boosters from Russian rockets, things like that. Very explainable things. But to see a Zendra or a portal open up, to see a craft up close the way Grant Cameron did, or the experience that Christopher, our A-lister in Hollywood, is having, the experiences he's having. Man, that would be crazy, wouldn't it? That would be crazy. I would hope that all of our alien friends have a sense of humor. Maybe they would come visit me at some point, stop in. You know, I've always told them that my art studio is a welcoming place for them. They need a place to stop off, hide. If they need a place to come and hang out for a little while, they could meet my family, my life mate, my wife. They could meet my friends. Or if they want to keep it more intimate, just my family. But they're safe here. Grant Cameron says that they may be just using screen representations of themselves, like a mask, kind of. Like they're wearing a mask. That's not really what they look like. He said, somebody asked a gray alien once, why do you look the way you do, or why do you wear a mask that's so ugly if they're just masks and they're not really you? And the alien said, well, you don't really need to see what we really look like. And by the way, have you looked in the mirror lately? You smile at us with these big giant teeth. We sometimes think you want to eat us. It's kind of crazy, isn't it? Well, that's the way it is. I don't know if they're all figments of our imagination or what. A friend of mine, Alien Protocols, just had a super weird incident happen to him. Super weird. Where he went in to see a teller, if you will, behind glass, and something strange happened. Something very wonderful and yet strange. And I won't get into that because it's his story and it's private. But I will say that knowing Alien Protocols, he will post that story. He'll figure out a way to make that known. It's an interesting story. Hopefully he will. I find it very, very fascinating. In fact, I had a long discussion about it last night with my wife because I wanted to find out, I wanted to pick her brain as to what it could be. She had no clue, as did I. No clue whatsoever. There's so many strange things that happen in this world, right? I mean, wow, crazy, crazy stuff. So, Grant, Cameron, Desta, CW, Chanter, okay, Ryan. You guys ever want to do a heart-to-heart, deep discussion about all of these phenomena? I'd love to join you. Now, I'm probably not as articulate as most of you guys are. I've been doing this a long time. I'm a creative guy. I usually am pretty much a loner. I work in my shop. I do my creative thing. I make my living. Don't interact too much out there without my face, my mask. How do you like this mask, by the way? This was a temporary one, drawn up out of some cheap paper towel. Just goofing around. Figured I'd put it on and see what it looks like. It's not bad for a cheap mask. When you get way back here like this, it's not too bad, right? Ooh. It is what it is. So, getting back to Grant for a minute, he had also mentioned that these experiencers or downloads that people are experiencing, in this particular video I watched, he said there are some other ways to achieve downloads. He was going through all of these different scenarios for receiving downloads. In other words, downloads being information that people have gotten through deep downloads from unknown sources. So today he added the other sources of getting those downloads. One was DMT, one was ayahuasca, and the other was yoga and praying, meditating with prayer. And they all have downloads. If you think about prayer, people throughout the ages have received visions through prayer. Same holds true with yoga. I myself am a practitioner of yoga and have been for about 5 years now. Although I've been doing yoga over the years, probably for the past 10 years, I didn't seriously get into it till about 5 years ago, where I practice every day now. And there is a certain mind and body connection there for sure. There certainly is. There's a consciousness there. There's a deeper part of you. It's interesting how you can close your eyes and you can meditate and you can do your yoga and it can take you to another place. So I could see where people could get a download with yoga. Now, I've never had that happen for me personally. I've never gotten any downloads, never seen any craft, never experienced anything. Would I like to? Probably, yeah. In fact, the other night I was out and I was watching a comet, or a shooting star as it were, flying through the sky. Scared the living daylights out of me because it was bright and it was super fat. The streak was fat and it went across the whole sky like it was going 17 or 18,000 miles an hour. And then all of a sudden it just stopped and sparkles right up at the top of that head of that shooting star, and then it disappeared. It stopped in midstream in the sky. It was crazy. Freaked me out a little bit. Well, what really freaked me out is something moved in the bushes behind me, and I jumped. It was 2 o'clock in the morning, outside my art studio. I was creating things, masks, paintings, sculptures. You know, I was ushering the spiders out of the corners of my art studio. That's what I was doing. It's kind of crazy. Anyways, I'd like to figure out what these things are too. You know, it's funny, again, getting back to Grant Cameron's video, he said certain people have maybe DNA markers, or that they're experiencers because of one reason or another. And I guess I don't have that DNA marker, although he said musicians often see multiple sets of UFOs. He talked about John Lennon and his experience. He talked about the guy from the Moody Blues down in Brazil who had an experience of seeing like thousands of UFOs on like a superhighway going over through the Amazon basin. Or not the Amazon basin, somewhere in Brazil, that is, on the side of a mountain. Musicians seem to have this intuition about them. Sting had his own experience with a download, you know. So, I don't know. I would think that I would be a prime candidate for some sort of interaction because of my creativity, because of what I do, because of my alternate modes of thinking through my whole life. You know, I've done a lot of different things in my life, experienced a lot of different things, taken all kinds of risks and chances and gambles because that's who I am. I have brothers and sisters who have spent years and years at the same job. I've got a father who worked his entire career at one place and then retired. And I've never been like that. If I was at a job and it didn't suit me, it didn't fit me, it didn't feel right, like a pair of shoes, I left. I took them off. I took that job off and I left it right there. Picked up my mat, shook it off, walked away. Now, some people would say that's pretty ballsy or pretty risky. Probably was. And you know what? I've made a lot of money in my time, and I made very little money in my time. And the times when I made very little money, I was the most creative, and I had the most freedom and the most fun. Times when I made lots of money, being creative, I wasn't having any fun. What's the correlation there? What's the correlation there? I don't know. Anyways, it's a great, big, beautiful world, a great time to be alive. I'm hoping at some point I'll get the chance to experience this new paradigm that's fast approaching us. I'll get to see something or experience something. Here's a question for everybody out there. If a Zendra or a portal appeared, would you walk through it? I had this discussion the other day with one of my internet friends, Jeff. He said he'd walk through it. I said I'd do the same thing. I'd step right into it without even thinking, because I think if I stopped to think about it, I'd probably freak out or chicken out or whatever. There'd be some excuse. I got a deadline due. I can't walk through this portal. Whatever it is. But it's possible that if I didn't think about it, I'd step right through that Zendra, that portal, into the unknown. It's kind of funny. My wife, the other day, she said, well, what if you're outside your studio and you're watching the stars and something approaches you and it's an alien craft and they take you away? And she said, what if they take you to their planet and they torture you for the rest of your life? I had to laugh about that. I said, honey, you've been torturing me for years, and I'm still here. And she said, but you forget, I may torture you, but once in a while I mix in some pleasure. Can't argue with that, can you? Not at all. Hey, well, listen, I'm rambling again, and this is the longest video I've ever done, and all I'm doing is rambling. So you probably turned it off a long time ago, and I don't blame you. Listen, like I always do with all my videos, I always say, be kind to your animals. Be good to your parents, to your elders. Be good to one another out there, especially in digital media, on the roads. Be kind. I mean, come on. You know what I mean? Like, how are we supposed to evolve to a better species if we're always grinding away at being mad, disrespectful, right? So be good to your animals. Love your animals. They're stress sponges. They will just soak up the stress from you. They wait for you all day long. When you walk through that door, they love you unconditionally. Love them back. Be kind to animals. Be kind to the creatures on earth. We're all connected. Everything is connected. Sounds weird. Listen, I planted some bamboo in my backyard once. Little tiny sprouts of bamboo. And I used to talk to those bamboo, and I'd go out and touch the bamboo and talk to them. And now I've got the most beautiful 35-foot bamboo trees all along my backyard. Beautiful. Unbelievable. We're connected. So be kind to one another. Respect your elders. Take care of your parents. They've taken care of you all your life. Be kind to your body. Thank your legs and your feet. Thank the great creator of all things for this magnificent body that we wear temporarily. This magnificent body we wear. It's all temporary. Soon this body will be gone. It will be gone soon for all of us. You ever watch the movie channel, those old movies? Or any old show that you watch? All the people that you're watching are dead. They were here for just a split second. They entertained you and now they're gone. They've moved on. And the same holds true for you. So make good use of your body, of this shell, of your time here on earth. Okay? What is it that Gandalf said from Lord of the Rings? You've been given this time here on earth. The question is, what will you do with that time? How will you make use of it? Something to that effect. I remember that always stuck with me. What will you do with the time that you've been given? And then you look at me, I'm wearing a goofy mask made out of paper towels and making videos for YouTube. Is that a good use of my time? I don't know. I don't know what my mission is. I'm still trying to find it after all these years. Maybe it'll come to me in a download. Maybe I'll find it in a Zendra or a portal. We'll see. But in the meantime, listen, love you guys, much peace, and be well, okay? ArtzyDude signing off for now. Bye-bye.